immediately start streaming. So be prepared. Yep, here we go. We're live.
Nice. Did you post in Discord? I'll let everyone the link.
No. This is gonna totally okay. Hold, please. Okay.
There you go.
Sweet. Perfect timing. Okay.
Yep.
Now I need to go back to this so that our thing doesn't look weird all night. Okay. It's like we never left.
Just like we never left. I still haven't seen Odyssey and Spider-Man, by the way.
Well,
haven't had the chance to. I've been too busy. Sorry.
No, dude, you're good. I was going to talk about Spider-Man a smidge tonight, and then
That's fine.
Once you've seen both of those, man, I'm telling you. I mean, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, we can start with it.
I have like 3 major topics. I guess I did write this in I'm going to leave it in our description for a couple weeks. I think the timely computer problems that we've both been having worked out anyway, because I think this is I'm so terrible at this stuff, Joseph. So a couple weeks ago, we got some unfortunate news that someone that neither of us have ever met, but has been quite influential on us over the last 6 or so years passed away, maybe even more than that. So I don't know. I don't really want to go into too much of it because it's taken me a little time to process everything, which is weird because I literally never met John.
It is. That parasocial relationship gets you.
Yeah, but I mean, man, I think it was the kind of thing that when you think about the way the internet works and you think about the way that people are connected to personalities, or they're connected to people that they find through the internet, it's probably one of the best outcomes, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of the time those kinds of things end up crashing and burning because the people who get put on a pedestal ultimately get shown to not be that kind of person truly. Right. And I don't think that was ever the case for John. For those of you who don't know, his name is John C. Dvorak. He's part of the reason that we do the value for value system. We've talked about him and Adam Curry
and the No Agenda podcast
over the last, really since the show started.
And we started in 21.
Yeah, it was a big influence in why we started podcasting in particular. And he passed away on July 20th. So right around the time we were having computer problems. And man, people that I've liked, whether it's been actors or directors or just, whoever who's kind of made it into more wide renown, it's always kind of been like, oh man, that sucks. This one kind of hit me, man. Because, I mean, especially when, it was a little back and forth recently just with being really busy. I haven't listened to No Agenda quite as much, but, there was a long stretches of time, especially during, the Rona days.
Yes.
Just literally listening to them twice a week, full episodes. It was a big deal, and I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, especially now. No Agenda is the one that's always kind of stuck with me.
Yep.
And so for him to, one day, because he was up there in age, but it's kind of crazy.
He was that.
Yeah, and
I didn't realize he was that old.
Yeah, most people didn't because he never told this story, but I think his wife told it on the show after he passed, that there was like it was either Rolling Stone or one of the major magazines back in, I think it was the 80s, got his age wrong, and that was the age that Wikipedia picked up on. And so he for the rest of his life, he literally, there was like a handful of people that actually knew how old he was, and he's like, you're never allowed to tell anyone until I die that it was completely wrong. Which I thought that was really funny.
That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, R.I.P. John C. Dvorak.
Oh, out of nowhere.
Man, it felt like it. I mean, he had a
buzzkill, man. We got.
Yeah.
If I had a drink to pour out, have some water, but I'll pour that out.
it's a Wednesday, you know. Yeah, man, it's just crazy, and No Agendas, man, it's just it won't ever quite be the same, and it's crazy.
No, it can't be, but that's okay.
It's okay.
There's only one John C. Dvorak. Mm-hmm. It's just how it rocks,
Yeah. All right, on to more sad news, I guess. It depends on who you are. I don't know how I should set this up. I guess we're starting with Spider-Man, and I guess Odyssey kind of plays into this a little bit. Man,
yeah, let's go for it.
I feel like the buzzkill with these lately, Joseph.
I know. I'm looking forward to seeing them because
okay.
I'm interested to see if we're gonna be different on opinions when it comes to the Odyssey and Spider-Man.
Listen, I don't want to in any way mar your opinion before you've seen these. I mean, I've talked about Odyssey a little bit.
Yeah.
I do not. I shouldn't even have to explain it like this. Obviously, there are worse movies that exist than these two. Obviously,
there's Tenet.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to go with this without just being like
completely negative.
Well, there are obviously worse movies out there. I think both of these movies are pretty bad. And I think the biggest
interesting.
Okay, so
controversial, dare I say it?
Yeah, maybe.
For Spider-Man, at least. Probably not for Odyssey. For the most part, for
Odyssey was kind of 50-50. I mean, listen, they both made a ton of money. Like, that's not going to change anything. We're not here to change that. I don't particularly care, It seems like
Odyssey is at 1.3 billion right now, and then Spider-Man's at 2 billion.
Good night. I mean, listen, it's not surprising. When I've told people like that,
not even a month old yet, dude.
I know.
It's like 2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks. It was basically at $1 billion the first week.
Yeah,
basically. They could put a Spider-Man movie out where a majority of it is him pooing out a hot turd, and it would make $1 billion. Spider-Man is it's a household name. He's literally one of the most popular, if not the most popular superhero in existence. Just mass appeal. So the money is whatever, right? Like plenty of bad movies make a lot of money, Plenty of good movies make a lot of money, and plenty of good movies don't make money. Fight Club notoriously did not do well in its theatrical run. And found an audience later on. It happens. If things are a little weirder now, I feel like good stuff that doesn't make, like, if you're a Fight Club, you might not make it into theaters anymore. Maybe. It's been weird. Like, there was a time when people thought literally the only thing that you were going to be able to go see in the theater was like Marvel level movies. Like, that's all anyone would want. I think Obsession, Iron Lung, some of this other stuff that's come out this year, even something like Godzilla -1 has kind of proven that's not fully true. I love the experience. I was a little nervous when I went to see Spider-Man because there were a lot of kids in the theater. But it actually was fine as far as like that. I know some people have like terrible experiences, and I've had some bad ones in the past. But for the most part, like lately, it's been fine. Actually, I think watching Obsession, the audience was slightly more annoying at the beginning than the entire time watching Spider-Man.
That's funny.
Like they were more behaved than going to see this rated R movie on like a Tuesday night. Theater was packed when we saw it. Like I think it had been out for a week because I didn't want to go opening week. I don't think either of these movies are very good. Little Platoon actually put out a really well thought out and researched series on the Odyssey that I've been going through. Because we talked about this. I think the last episode, if that was the one that I talked about it on, that it's a story that I'm familiar with, but I don't know very well. Like I don't know all of the details of it and the histories of the different characters and their motivations and Little Platoon does. That's like his thing. It's like being the smart guy is like his thing, and I love that. Like I love the people who are obsessed with that and come into something like the Odyssey with that kind of critical eye, because I think it's a net positive on all of the stuff that we all do.
Right.
And I, after kind of listening to him, he is of the opinion, especially on like a adaptation level, that the Odyssey is as bad as Rings of Power. Like it's like one for one.
Ooh.
Hey, all of these things that you hate about Rings of Power, that's exactly what the Odyssey is.
Dang, man.
As far as like especially with like adaptation, because you know how people will be like, well, the Rings of Power, it's like it's got some decent cinematography, which I don't even know if the lighting's like all right. But it's the same thing we talk about all the time where I was like, cinematography is not everything. Like it's obviously an important aspect of it. And if you can have that as well as like a well-written story or adaptation, like whatever we're talking about, I guess it's the same thing. And your lighting is correct for the most part. You'll keep my attention. One of those things that for me, it weighs heavily on the story side. Like if your story is bad, I don't care how good your movie looks for the most part.
Right. Agreed.
So
movie or a TV show doesn't matter.
If your lighting and your cinematography is a little bit flat, it's not like super impressive, but you tell a really good story, it's cool with me. Like I think for the most part, I'm going to find that a lot less distracting. Your audio still has to be good, but
yes,
the rest
and
of that
audio mixing in a lot of stuff these days, movies and TV shows,
it's so
is
bad. It's so bad
for the most. Oh, really?
It's the most apparent thing about the Odyssey.
I've actually heard.
Besides the
I've
dialogue.
heard other people say that about the sound mixing. That's where it's like people like get picked on like for having to have subtitles for a lot of TV shows and movies, and we watch everything at home with subtitles on, but that's mainly because the audio mixing, sound mixing is so bad.
It's so bad and so much.
You'll go from one scene being blaring loud, and the next scene you won't be able to hear the characters talk. So.
Yeah. I don't get it, man. I mean, and I'm no like audio engineer, but I can tell the difference. You know what I mean? I don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to be a Michelin star chef to know that my food tastes like crap.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. I will say this though, I have even though I haven't seen the Odyssey or Spider-Man yet, I have watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies in the past 2 to 3 weeks that have, by the way, released this year.
Dang.
So I've caught up.
Good.
And I will tell you, of all the movies I've seen so far this year, which you already know about, I've seen one crap after another. Greenland 2 and Wuthering Heights. But I'm not going to tell you the other ones because you didn't want me to. But out of the
next week.
And also Project Hail Mary.
I've been cheating. I've been cheating a little, like a tiny bit. But there's a lot of stuff I haven't told you about. So,
well, the best movie so far I've seen this year is Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, I'm still same.
That's still number one for me.
Obsession's a close second, but I think Project Hail Mary is a slightly better movie.
Now I know one crap after the other after another came out last
yeah.
year,
But
I watched it this year, so I'm keeping it.
Technically, the extended trilogy, Lord of the Rings trilogy, is in my list for this year because I saw them in theaters this year. Now I won't. When we do it at the end of the year, I'm not going to. It's not going to be a top 3. That's not fair. But it is in there because I saw them in all 3 of them in theaters this year. So,
and in my defense, my wife made me watch one battle after another and Wuthering Heights. So,
that kind of stuff I usually just find YouTube videos of people kind of talking about the movie, and then I'm like, yeah, definitely wasn't interested in that. It saves me 2.5 hours sometimes, on something that I probably wasn't ever gonna watch. But I've seen some crap this year. Holy moly.
It's kind of been, I think I wonder if this year will end up being better than the last few years. I mean, it has to be because last year was Mission Impossible.
Which I never even saw.
For movies, at least. It has to be because I'm looking at last year, and last year was pretty rough.
I was trying to find where's my list?
Last year was rough.
Last year was really rough, dude.
Warfare was the best movie last year, and then 2004 was also rough.
2004 was really rough.
Yeah, it was.
2004.
Remember The Bricklayer? Another movie with what's his name? What's that actor's name? Let me see.
John
I know it.
Stamos.
Aaron Eckhart.
Oh, Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah. He's in another movie about kind of similar.
Yeah.
That came out this year. I want to say it's. Let's see.
Where is my list? I was gonna pull it up and I can't find it.
Deep Water, and it's about he's a pilot.
That. I want to see that. It's the same director that did the other shark one.
Oh, okay.
From forever ago. Deep Blue. No, not Deep Blue Sea.
Oh, really? Deep Blue Sea?
The one with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, I think he's in that.
And
movie.
Thomas Jane. Is it Deep Blue Sea? Am I remembering properly? Okay.
He did Deep Blue Sea. Now, I did try on my flight back to watch Anaconda with Jack Black and Paul Rudd, and I only got
I forgot that came out.
20 minutes in, and I was like, I can't do this anymore.
No. Okay. Well, when my computer,
it wasn't that horrible. I could have finished it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not this is the worst movie I've ever seen. I was just
Well, that's part of the problem, isn't it? It's just can I? Okay, so I know we're in the middle of the Spider-Man thing, and we'll just talk about House of the Dragon at the end. I don't have an insane amount to say that we haven't already said, but I'm doing a little research right now for some stuff that I'm working on.
Yep.
Just trying to kind of get my head wrapped around a certain time period and the feel of that. And movies are a really good way to do it. And I thought this would be kind of fun. I was going to save this for the end, but we'll do this while we're kind of talking about Spider-Man stuff and the Odyssey, and then we'll get into House of the Dragon at the end. It's 2004, right? Because the discussion around a lot of the stuff going on right now, and even in my mind, I'm going, well, maybe it's always kind of been like this. Maybe we get the chance at a few bangers during the year, and then everything else is kind of whatever. And I know some of the stuff I'm gonna mention, people are gonna be well, I don't really like that movie, but it's not. I would say it's not so much about your personal opinion about this, and just the amount of stuff that was coming out that, especially now, we look back on, and it's insane. We got all of these in the same year. So I have 2004. I'll go back to 2003 as well, but because that's where I had started. 2004, and this is all just kind of pulled some data. We got Shrek 2, Spider-Man 2, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, The Passion of the Christ, The Aviator, which was a big one at the time. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Kill Bill Volume 2, Shaun of the
Dang,
Dead,
man.
Napoleon Dynamite, and The Incredibles in the same year.
That's crazy,
Not
dude.
not to mention some other stuff. That's 2004, right? That's pretty good, and that's not even like, I'm sure if I spent some time like going through, I could find more, but that's like a pretty solid list of stuff during the year, right?
Yep.
2003, right? Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, Finding Nemo. Regardless of how you feel about The Matrix Reloaded, it made almost $800 million in 2003, which is an
Right.
insane amount of money. Pirates of the
Especially for them,
Caribbean.
that would be like over $1 billion these days.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Bruce Almighty, The Italian Job. What else is in here? Like, insane, dude.
That is insane, man. What do you think the problem is? Why don't we get that stuff now?
I have a theory. And
Tell me.
it's not this is okay,
Speak your theory into my ear.
So I think, okay, let me ask you this. Let me start with this. What happened? When would you say things started to get a little weird with like the downhill and the cycle of just like really bad like adaptations, writing started going downhill? When do you feel like that started? Like educated guess or just gut feeling?
I kind of think maybe with that Ghostbusters movie that was the all-female cast. But if I had to put a year, I can't remember.
Sure.
I think that's probably 2016.
Uh-huh.
I would have to go back and check. But if I had to place a bet on it, I would say like 2019, 2020.
And what happened around 2018, 2019 in Hollywood?
Me too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Now, you might say, well, David, you can't say that. It was about freeing women from I was about to say Jeffrey Epstein. What was that guy's name? The other one. His name slipped my mind all of a sudden. Dang it.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein. So you might think, right, because that's what everyone was telling you, that that's what it was about, right? He was the one who lit the fuse that ultimately exploded in the Me Too movement. But my theory is, and he was a really good one, obviously, because he was a bad dude, he was a scapegoat for a power change in Hollywood.
Mm.
And now we get a lot of stuff, and this was not like a full-on we're trying to like save women thing, because you and I have both talked about this before. It's not what it was about. So the only conclusion that I've been able to come up with is that there was essentially like a power struggle, and in order for them to be able to like come through, that's what they did. Because there's like a running joke online that's with people, and it's the internet, it's edgy or whatever, where they're like, man, we really need to bring him back or whatever, like he was gatekeeping Hollywood hardcore. Just like, okay, I don't really think that's the case, but I think that a lot of people who probably didn't deserve it got caught in the crosshairs of that. And not only did it cause like a more sanitized Hollywood, something that wasn't willing to take risks or write risky stories, like everything feels safe, right? Even some of the stuff, like I would almost tell you, like even Obsession, kind of a safe movie. Like it's not pushing any buttons. It's not doing anything. Like, could you imagine a movie like V for Vendetta coming out now?
Oh gosh, no, dude.
2005. By the way.
I don't think it's just a transfer of power like you're talking about, and maybe that this is part of it, or yeah, maybe it is a transfer of power. But like-minded people coming together and Hollywood pushing even further left, right, than they were, and
I think
to where now it was just more about political points.
I think there were people who were keeping that at bay. I don't think it was I don't think it was a political struggle, right? I don't think that was the case at all. But I think there were people who legitimately cared about that industry, regardless of their politics. They cared about cinematography. They cared about writing. They cared about the art. And I think what has happened, and I think that was the beginning of it, and we just everything that's happened since then has been, and it's not like some of that wasn't always there, right?
Right.
I mean, we had Brokeback Mountain, I think was 2005. I have it pulled up actually. Man, crazy. Do that, what a crazy thing to come out in 2005. But I think that what you're seeing now, because it's happening in the games industry too, you're seeing less quality, and I'll just say art, ultimately, because it is what it is. And I think it's because the gatekeeping and the people who were in charge, who would have told someone who was trying to push stuff like that into narratives, they were telling them no. Like, no one wants to watch that. And it's true, and it's still true. And I think you're right that, like, the Ghostbusters 2016 was probably the canary, but I think it didn't really all come out until 2018, 2019, when all of that was going down. And I think a lot of people got pushed out, and I think they used Me Too, because there's plenty of people, dude, that like were making interesting stuff around that time that aren't there anymore because of sometimes false allegations, or like it was interpreted in such a way and pushed by the media in such a way that that's how it ended up. And now
Right.
we're sitting in a time where things are really worse than they've ever been. Like, I get it. Like, The Odyssey made $1 billion, but it's not a good movie.
Yep.
The quality, like, Christopher Nolan's quality's gone down. Part of me thinks he just does not care anymore. First of all, I don't think he ever really cared about The Odyssey. I think it's pretty apparent, especially when you start kind of understanding thematic elements of that story and a lot of the stuff that he left out and stuff that he changed for no reason. Like, there's entire plot points that he made worse in the movie that aren't that way in the original poem, the original text. Crazy stuff. And like I said, part of watching some of that is that, like, I'm now more educated about that story than I was. And I think that's important. I think that's one of the things, like I said, that the internet has done really well. I'm more familiar with Spider-Man, and watching that, now when I've been talking to people in real life, I'm playing it very soft with them, because it doesn't take much to start moving people in the direction of being like, hey, it's kind of weird that they did this with this character, right? And we'll get into it after you see it, because I want you to see it. I don't want to totally, like, because I think you'll notice it more if I tell you. I think it's pretty obvious, a lot of the major flaws in that film. But I don't want to say them. But dude, I don't think a single character that's in that movie does not get completely assassinated.
Hey, man.
It's unbelievable. And it's so funny because one of the guys, like, we're cool. He's like, he does like film stuff that we work together. And he came in today, big smile on his face. He's like, hey, man, did you see Spider-Man? I was like, yeah, man, I didn't like it. And he's like, what? And I didn't go into, I didn't have time, obviously. I didn't go into, like, a lot of detail about it. But I kind of just hit a few of the talking points that I think are the most obvious things that they did wrong in that. and everyone just is like, no one can say like, no, I don't think I've run into anyone who's given me pushback when I've been like, yeah, this is a problem. Not only is it a problem for what we know of this character, but moving into what they might try to do in the future, it already ruins anything they might set up. It's kind of unbelievable. Like it's a Spider-Man is a bad movie. Brand New Day is a bad movie. It just is. It's a bad movie to set up the stuff they're trying to set up. And Doomsday I think is going to be insanely bad. I think it's going to be even worse.
Dude,
I don't think Marvel, the Marvel that we once knew, that occasionally put something out that was pretty good or like averagely good, it's gone.
Dude, so that's where we get to the point of you have to end your stories and know how to end them. Yeah. And that's why we're saying, hey, with Endgame, they should have just ended it there and then just started completely over. Mm-hmm. But this is the end, but they want to keep milking things and try and get as much money as possible when it's like, hey, you could have still got money. Just revamp it.
Doomsday will probably make a decent amount. I don't think it's going to make – I think it's impossible.
I think it's going to make good money.
I think it will, but I think it's on like the good faith of a lot of okay, so it also depends.
You think it hits $1 billion?
Probably.
Call it now.
I mean, probably, but I'll
you got a gun to your head. You gotta choose. If it hits $1 billion, you live. If it doesn't, you die.
I think the safe bet would be that it'll hit $1 billion, but I think it'll only hit $1 billion because Spider-Man made 2.
Yep.
And I think it's off of quote unquote good faith. But
good graces.
But to be nuanced about it, if the backlash to Spider-Man hits sooner than Doomsday releases, like if people all of a sudden are just sort of like, oh yeah, that movie, oh yeah, maybe, yeah, there were a lot of problems with that, they might have a problem. And they're going to have a problem after Doomsday regardless, because they've always had a problem. Like, Spider-Man is an outlier as far as their cash flow is concerned. Like I said, he could take a steamy dump in the middle of New York City, and that movie would probably make $1 billion. Spider-Man's not the problem because people are going to probably go see that regardless. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. I'm ready. I'm ready for Tom Holland and Zendaya, and kind of at this point, his name's slipping my mind all of a sudden. Jon Bernthal. Like, I'm kind of ready for them to like not be involved so heavily with this stuff anymore. Like, Jon Bernthal needs to go do like some indie flicks. He needs to go like, I mean, I guess he's making enough money, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, ultimately, that's the thing that's going to talk. But like, I'm kind of tired of seeing them all the time. Like, really, they're in the two, I think at this point, the 2 highest grossing movies of the year. All 3 of them. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I really want to see like the indie scene, the stuff like Backrooms. And I wanted to get out of horror too, just because I want to see more variety and stuff like that, where it's these like low budget movies that almost are guaranteed to make their money back, or at minimum break even. You know, I miss that. I miss that kind of stuff. I'm tired of just like all, like, to a degree, like I'm tired of the bombastic like superhero movies. Like, it's so dull. They're getting worse. And it's hard to keep my attention. And it sucks that because I don't want to go into too much detail about Brand New Day until you've seen it. But there was a way to make that movie great. The problem is it spends too much time setting up Doomsday. It's a majority. It's specifically there, and it's a problem Marvel's always had. And the worst, even back when Marvel was in its prime, the worst Marvel movies were usually the ones that spent too much time setting up what was coming next. You know, it's why like Guardians was so good. Now, the exception to that is Civil War, because I think Civil War is excellent. It probably is the best Marvel movie.
Agreed. Civil War definitely is. It's
that, Guardians, and probably Iron Man or the first Captain America. Like, they're all kind of sloshing around in there a little bit. and this is before. Oh, wait, and the first Avengers movie is in there too. It might be Civil War, Guardians, first Avengers movie, and there's probably a little bit of room to like move those around depending on how I'm feeling and how recently I've seen one of them. So there was a time, dude, where man, the hype was legitimately real, and now it feels mostly manufactured. It's crazy that movie made $2 billion. Because, like, I mean, even back when No Way Home came out, I think and this is still how I feel about it, and I can't remember where you kind of landed with it, but it's like a half good movie.
Yeah, No Way Home.
A half good movie. Yeah.
Yep.
The first half's
yeah,
like,
I would say it's a good movie.
Like I just don't care for the first half that much. Like it's too much setup and all of the really good stuff. And to be honest, the only reason it probably I would even consider it to be good is because it's using a lot of character stuff from, well, at least one. The Tobey Maguire stuff's like way better, and then the is it TASM, the Amazing Spider-Man. That stuff's like, I don't like those movies very much. I like Andrew Garfield, and I like what they did with him in this, and I liked that they kind of finally came full circle for him since he never got a third movie. And their dynamics like really good in that. A lot of good character stuff in it, but it's not really riding off the back of something that like Marvel did. It's based off stuff that came before, and that's why there's something like good to it. The stuff that like Marvel's doing and the stuff Sony was doing that first half, it's not, it's not that great. It's a lot of like, oh, there's Daredevil, hey, remember these characters? And then it's like Doctor Strange doing his spell, and then you kind of get into the more interesting aspects of the movie, and it takes too long. So it's a weird like mixed bag, man. But Brand New Day's a bad movie. It's
well, we'll see when I see it.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna disagree. I'll tell you this: I think it was like 2.5 hours. Man, that movie was long.
Really?
I started feeling it, man. It was just like, okay. It's like, this is what we're doing now. Yeah. So didn't like that one. Didn't really much care for the Odyssey either. It's got different problems though, I think. Same, but different.
Yeah.
I think
which one did you like better though between the two?
Golly.
You got to pick one, Spider-Man or Odyssey.
Probably Odyssey. I think I have to do.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. So
Dang.
Here's the thing. And this is just from the perspective I'm looking at it. If I, off the cuff or whatever, it is a bigger mountain to climb to rewrite Brand New Day to make it good than it is the Odyssey. And they're both incredibly disrespectful movies in the way that they do things. Disrespectful to the characters, to the, I say source material. It's more source material for Odyssey than it is for Spider-Man, because I've even kind of come to this point now where, and I think we've talked about this before, like when it comes to comics, I'm fine. There's probably specific examples and arguments for why you should stick more closely to certain source material. If you're adapting certain stories from like Batman or Spider-Man or something like that, but that's not what Spider-Man's doing. It's just pulling a whole bunch of stuff and then kind of making it up as it goes. So they're both like pretty disrespectful to their source material. But Spider-Man Brand New Day is also disrespectful to like everything that was set up beforehand. And so it's like different degrees of bad, but there's a bigger mountain to climb, I think, with how you would have to rework Spider-Man than how you rework the Odyssey. The Odyssey is like, it would still be a lot, but there's things, I guess, to like appreciate in the Odyssey. Like, it's still, the score is pretty bad and the audio is bad. So you're really asking, this is not an easy, like, it's not simple, right? Like, they're
right.
both, I mean, they're not the worst things I've seen this year, but they're you know, they have big budgets. That's what kind of like keeps them afloat. To a degree, you know. But I dislike them both pretty equally. I think maybe I found things that I appreciated more in the Odyssey. Some stuff that was a little more like streamlined, I guess. But dude, oh my gosh, dude, the like modern dialogue is so bad in that. Someone told me that like people were talking about Anne Hathaway needed to get an Oscar for her role in the Odyssey, and I was like, she was one of the worst actors in the movie. You know? At least John Bernthal
that sounds about right.
Yeah, like John Bernthal, and it was at least like I found him kind of entertaining. Like, it's terrible, but I was like, I don't know, he was kind of funny.
It's kind of like I told you last year when this was getting announced and all the cast specifically. I'm like, most of the time when you have a large cast full of stars, it ends up not being a good movie.
And the hype on both of these, I think, will die down at some point, and people will start looking at it a little more calmly, thoughtfully. They'll, you know, and it just, dude, I'm telling you, with Spider-Man, it's been so easy. It's been so easy. It's like, hey, this thing, not a good choice. And they're like, oh yeah, I can see why you would think that. And like this, like they did this character dirty, and like, yeah, I can see that. And what was with like completely removing like this specific thing and just making it not matter anymore by the end of the movie. Oh yeah, I could see the way that might be the case. And you're like, yeah, kind of not as good as you might think it was, huh? When you really, and that's the thing, man. It's like, that's why like we get that argument a lot where people are like, it's just big dumb superhero movies. It's like, yeah, but they're bad. Like,
yep.
I don't think that's a fair, like, big dumb superhero movie doesn't really make sense when you have something like Logan that exists, right? That takes itself really seriously. Like, it's not trying to be a big dumb superhero movie. And I mean, like, even at least Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, not big dumb superhero movies. Pretty passionate works, you know? Even though people are trying to do this whole like revision thing with The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sort of like, yeah, like the movie's got problems, guys, but it's not like it's not like a 3 out of 10. Like, I don't know what Dark Knight Rises, maybe. You might have more of an argument there. It's really funny, you know, Justin, friend of the show. He went back, he was like watching that trilogy again, and he's like, yeah, man, he's like, The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, like, I don't think they're as good as people thought that they were. And I'm like, brother, nobody thinks The Dark Knight Rises is that good of a movie. I think it's conclusive for the most part. I mean, there's people who like the movie. I think most people know, like, it's not very good. But The Dark Knight is, like, it's pretty strong, man. Like, that's still Nolan in his prime.
Right.
And I try to, like, tell people is I'm like, guys, and it's funny because it's usually, like, friends of mine who are younger who didn't, like, grow up in that era. Like, we grew up in that era. Like, I was saying with some of this other stuff that was, like, coming out. You know,
yep.
We had it
it's
good.
That kind of the range of movies that are coming out, because it's not just the movies that you mentioned. That's just what was at the box office. But another point is all the movies that came to DVD, all the rom-coms, and
a lot of that stuff was still in theaters, dude.
Yep.
In
cult classics and everything that just were made their budget up at the
Wedding Crashers
rentals or DVDs, and now you don't really have that.
Wedding Crashers was the 6th highest grossing movie in 2005.
That's why.
For good reason. I like that movie. I think we've talked about this before. Wedding Crashers is like a weird one because it's like this. It's like a raunchy rom-com, but it actually has like a pretty poignant theme in it and like message by the time you get to the end of it, and you don't. It's like rare. in something like that. Because like it's kind of the same problem where people are like, oh, it's just dumb comedy, right? And it's like, but there's like actual, like people put thought into their characters and the progression that they would take through the course of a movie. Like just because it's funny or it's like not taking itself hyper serious doesn't mean that like you get rid of all of the character growth and everybody has to be one dimensional. And what works in comedies a lot of time is that like the one dimensional characters sometimes are what help motivate the comedy in it.
Right.
Like I think one of the best parts of that movie is like when the two of them, it's like towards the end of the movie, they're both like really down on their luck. They've one of the guys has like lost his relationship with the girl that he's in love with, and they go to see this guy who was the one who basically was like the godfather of the like Wedding Crasher thing, and it's Will Ferrell, and he's like, I've moved on, guys. We're doing funerals now. It's so, and he's like totally one-dimensional in it, and it's so funny, and like they just get it, right? It's such a simple premise. And it kills me every time. But you just don't get, you don't get stuff like that anymore.
Yep.
V for Vendetta was 2005.
It's unfortunate,
Batman
man.
Begins.
It really is.
Before. It's so weird. And it's like, that's what I'm saying is like, I think, and I wouldn't call it gaslighting necessarily, but I think there's some revision going on with the state of theaters, and like the stuff that we were getting at the time. 2006 was huge too. The Departed, Little Miss Sunshine, Casino Royale, The Prestige, Saw was like huge at the time. Happy Feet, Cars, Blood Diamond, even like stuff like Dreamgirls and Night at the Museum. I guarantee, like, you go back and start watching some of that. I don't know why Scott Pilgrim's in there. That didn't come out until 2010. Anyway, I think there is a very good argument to be made that we have seen an insane amount of regression, and it got worse after Me Too. Doesn't mean that there wasn't decent stuff still coming out, and that there hasn't been, but it is far less than what we were getting. For every like Godzilla -1 or Project Hail Mary, we're getting 10, if not more things, big budget stuff too. And that's the thing is like the big budget stuff back then, a lot of it was still really good. Like Casino Royale is a good movie. Like obviously it set off kind of like what a lot of people now in hindsight see as like the worst Bond era, and I don't necessarily think they're wrong. But you just don't get stuff like that anymore. You don't like, I don't know, it's crazy, man. I don't even. Oh yeah, I really think there's an argument to be made that like we've seen an insane amount of regression, and my theory is that that's kind of part of the cause of it, right? I mean.
Right.
It's funny because what's his face? Joss Whedon gets blamed for quote unquote like the modern like goofy writing or whatever, but I don't think that's right. And I don't, I've seen nearly everything he's ever written, and he was like pretty heavily involved in Cabin in the Woods, and I think if you go back, you watch like that, Buffy, Angel, the first Avengers movie, even some of the second Avengers movie, his writing style and the way that he does that, and it's not just that, it's like his character stuff, it's just so superior to like what we've been getting. But it's like, oh, it's that Marvel humor, it's all Joss Whedon's fault. It's like, I don't think that's the case. I don't. I think people saw that and thought they could emulate that. And what we've seen now, and like what is now referred to as like quote unquote millennial humor, which is kind of a slur, by the way. I'm a little offended by that because it's not my fault. It's not your fault that people, the way that they write now for some of this like modern stuff is just unbelievable. Like unbelievable sometimes, Joseph. boggles my mind the way that people will write this dialogue. It just,
they write it to tell instead of showing.
yeah.
It's not.
It's all
the dialogue they do
self-referential,
right isn't
get it?
intriguing. It's just describing what's happening on scene to you for the most part.
Yeah.
Or it's very just a lot of inexperienced writers. I mean,
It's wink, wink, nod.
and what was
It's like, hey, did you catch that?
that? Was like Mortal Kombat 2. Sorry, that's one of the movies I watched.
No, you're good.
In the past 3 weeks, but the dialogue, especially in the first half of the movie, is horrible.
It's so bad.
I mean, you could tell the actors are trying to do the best they can with the material they've been given.
Yeah,
but
we'll get into it. Yeah, I liked Carl Urban in it. I think that the problem is and I think you're right. I think there's a lot of people who, you're right, are inexperienced, and I'm not sure they have anyone to look to, because I see this in the workplace all the time, and maybe you do too, and different industries, but this stuff does carry over. A lot of people, especially that are like younger than us, and it's not everybody, it's not always the case, right? Like, but we're talking majority of the time. Correcting them, trying to guide them, even with a soft hand, they get very defensive.
Yep.
Sometimes they get upset, and it's not very easy to get through to them. And it's because they didn't grow up like that, or they've been coddled, whatever the case may be. And I think you see a lot of that too, and there's no one telling these people, like, this is bad. And then when people do outside of their industry, they go, well, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're not in this industry. But again, don't have to be a Michelin star chef to know that my food tastes like crap. It's not required. If I come out and I'm like, hey, chef or whatever, like, this tastes kind of rotten to me, and then he goes, you just have no idea what you're talking about. You're not in this industry. It's like, cool, can I get a refund?
Yep.
You want to try? I'm a little more obvious with food, I guess, but it's all over the place now, man. And I'm telling you, I think one of the things, and this is a good segue into House of the Dragon. Stuff's just not fun anymore.
Yes, that's what's missing.
Including
the
House
life
of the Dragon.
out of movies and TV shows is the fun aspect. Now, we'll say the last 2 episodes of season 3 I enjoyed, but
better than the rest of the season, for sure. I think the problem
is the building blocks that led up to them.
Exactly. That's been my biggest problem. You get through a lot of it, and you're like, well, what was the point then? That's it. It's just like and I think what it is like, because there's like some fun stuff in that last episode with like the Greybeards. There's like a little bit of that going on that I enjoyed, but the problem is it's like the payoffs of all of that, it's just not very good. Like the payoffs are like, okay, like, oh dang, like that's a pretty crazy way to kill somebody. But it's, the characters aren't set up, they're pretty one-dimensional, and it's like, oh, that's what we're getting. Like there's no big payoff, no grand plan. It was just like, well, this is what I'm doing, and it didn't work, and now I'm dead. And that guy, I can't remember what his name was, but he, just and like the stuff, even the stuff with Corlys, where it's like, well, like it's just like plot convenience stuff to like get him back to where he needs to go. And I mean, obviously they're like setting up this last season, but like, I don't know, they did like a worse version of Damien wandering around the castle with
with Aemon
this season. It's like it just felt like they, even more so, because I think this was one of the criticisms we had of season 2 to a degree. It was just less characters this was happening with, where they were moving them into certain places,
Right.
And even the stuff
but season 2 we still enjoyed.
Yeah.
But
a good bit of it, for sure.
You know what problems. I think the issue is? I bet that Ryan Condal was waiting for George to give him his notes for each season, like starting with season 2 and then with season 3.
Yeah.
Or well, not with season 3, but with season 2, he was waiting on him, and he just like never got him to him because of how George has not completed Winds of Winter and is working on all this other stuff. I bet there was some kind of deadline that Condell set, and when George didn't meet that deadline, Condell's like, "All right, we'll do it."
You got to do what you got to do. But it doesn't really matter ultimately because it's like, I don't know. It's got so many problems that even without George there, you got to figure out how to make your show. I just wonder. I think some people do this because I know I do. Like if I've made something and I know it's like probably not that great, you're like, dang, this is not. And then you're just like, well, anyway, here you go.
Sometimes I'll that's what I'll work on a spreadsheet at work, and I'm like, is this right?
Yeah, maybe they won't.
I'm like, I've already put so much thought in this. I'm like, I'm just gonna send it. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you from like the creative side too. Sometimes there's things that like you put in there, and you're like, oh no, like everyone's gonna notice that this is like shot isn't that good, or that this specific thing isn't quite in focus, or it didn't focus the way that I wanted to, but it's, and it's probably a little different for them because they have way more time to get their shots right. But when you're like in sort of what I do on the freelance side, sometimes you get a couple shots and you kind of just got to take what you get and hope nobody notices. And to be honest, sometimes the stuff that you hyper focus on, people don't pay attention to, and the stuff that you think is fine or that you like, that people don't think is very good. It's really funny because I heard this anecdote from speaking of Fight Club, what is his name? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Joseph. My brain.
Oh,
do you know who I'm talking about? He was the main actor in Fight Club, not Brad Pitt.
Not Brad Pitt, but the guy that Edward Norton.
Edward Norton, and he was talking about this movie that he was in called it's either Everybody Loves Smoochie or I Love Smoochie. It was like this Barney sort of like parody thing. And he was talking about how like, because it's got like Robin Williams in it, it's like pretty great cast. And how like they were on set and they were all having the best time of their life and laughing all the time. And like it bombed at the theater and got panned and people hated it. And he was like, man, we were having the greatest time. We were like, this movie's gonna like be phenomenal. People are gonna love it. And then it came out and did terribly. And it's so funny to me because I love that for two reasons. One, it really does kind of show sort of like what goes on with like those creative processes, because you'll have the best time of your life. It'll be so good. It'll come out and nobody cares. Yeah. And then it also shows that it's like that's the way that you need to react when something you make is like critically panned. You don't need to get hyper defensive about it, and you might actually learn something from it. Now, I've only ever seen that movie once. It's not like a big deal to me, right? But what you see nowadays from a lot of people is that's like they are hyper defensive about every decision that they make, every little thing that they're doing, and they're not going like, yeah, maybe that wasn't great. Like maybe I can learn from, this thing. And then in Marvel's case, or in Sony's case with Spider-Man, they're like, we made $2 billion. Who cares? And like I said, it's very specific to that. I don't think Game of Thrones is in a position where they can do that. I don't think most things are in a position where they can do that. Christopher Nolan, for whatever reason, just seems to be printing more money than he ever has. But yeah, and some of that's probably inflation and IMAX inflation. Like tickets cost a lot more than they used to for all of that stuff. Like I imagine with inflation, Dark Knight's probably sitting above $1 billion.
It has to be.
And a couple of those other movies, because I don't even know. Dark Knight might have been in IMAX. I know Inception was, because I did happen to see that in IMAX when it came out. But yeah, it's weird, man. And I mean, I don't know. Like I like what they're doing with Aegon and Sunfire. I think that stuff's interesting. I think that's part of the reason that episode that's what was that, episode 7? Like, part of the reason that was so good is because like his stuff has still been interesting this season, like his journey, and hopefully they give it like at least a decent payoff. I don't know. Damon's kind of been back and forth. Like it kind of feels like they haven't really known what to do with him this season. And I know that was a criticism people had last season, but that stuff last season felt really good, and then I just don't know if it's really paid off at all.
Right.
And so it seems like he's been wandering around, and then the stuff from season 2 might pay off in season 4. Like whatever was going on with all of that, we might finally kind of get to in the next season, because it feels like he's been on a side quest with like his daughter and the sheep stealer stuff, which was terrible. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with a lot of this cast of characters. Like what's up with the White Worm? She's kind of just been hanging around all season, looking sad. She
was the worst Masters of Whispers too. Like all this stuff was going on, and she had no idea.
Dude, they
didn't even make her competent.
I know, they could have made her cool, dude. If you're gonna, and this is the thing, man. If you're gonna leave some of these characters in there, make them cool. And if they're not, just kick them to the curb till you need them again. It's fine. If they're not important to the story in this specific time, they don't need to be there, Otto's the same way. Like, what a waste, dude.
Dude,
that's
complete waste.
Can I ask you a question? Is the stuff that they did with, because I don't know how I feel about this yet, is the stuff they did, like where they ultimately took Otto, is that worse than what they did with Rhaenys? Because I don't know how. I don't know.
I don't think so. Just because with Rhaenys, it was worse just because of the spectacle, all the people, all the men, women, and children she killed, and being able to end everything right then with her dragon is a worse crime.
It's more damaging for the plot, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, more damaging for the plot. Whereas with Otto, they have this very interesting character, this actor that plays the character well, and then they set him up like at the end of season 2. Oh, he got, he got captured somehow, and then it's just nothing.
Hey, we're just gonna kill him. We don't know, And of all the characters that he didn't know what to do with, that they killed off like that, you're telling me you couldn't have figured out a way to like implement him better into this season, even if he dies by the end of the season. Like bringing him back just to let him die is like very bad. I dislike that quite a bit. I think the show quality wise, like visually, has also gone downhill a little bit. I don't know if their budget is having to like get spread to other places a little bit more, but there's more noticeable like issues with like lighting and the color grading, like the way that even that like that last battle looked pretty sterile for a lot of it. It had that very, we talk about this all the time, where like the image and the way that they do all that, it looks too clean.
Yep.
That started to creep in that last episode. There was some stuff in there that I was like, why does this look like it look, and this is something I've heard from some other people, and I agree with this. It looks too much like a set. I think that's a very apt analysis of the problem that we have
modern
with a lot of this
films
stuff.
And TV shows.
It's too obvious that they're on sets in some of these.
I guess I didn't really notice it in the last episode. I have to go back and watch it.
It's not as bad as other stuff, right? The problem is that I don't think a show like this is allowed to get away with it just because it is still like higher quality than a lot of other things,
Right.
You don't get to slip into the territory of stuff that's way worse than you. That's not how this works, But I was noticing it's kind of apparent throughout the season. It's not as bad as other stuff. It's serviceable, but like I'm just kind of like, what's going on, guys? Like, what are we? I'm not real thrilled about Helena either. Kind of stupid the way that they just. I mean, I'm assuming that's just like how it ends for her in the books. I haven't really like looked into it. But kind of lame. Like, she was really one of my favorite characters for a long time, and then again, I just don't think they knew what to do with her, and then that was kind of it, you know.
Yep.
Tragic for sure. I just don't. I don't know. It didn't feel like it worked for me. Am I missing anybody important?
I don't think so.
I don't know. There's like the Hightower characters, but whatever. Oh, Kristen Cole.
Yes.
Did you find that satisfying?
No, I think we talked about this before. Is that his character, in my opinion, actually became more, or not more interesting, but was he had an interesting character. Ironically, like
Agreed,
him
actually,
and Aegon are the characters that stood out to me most this season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't necessarily have a problem with how he died. Like, if he got killed by an arrow, it's more of the fact that it was so, like, the setup for it was so passed over. They didn't hang on the scene at all. It wasn't. This is a pivotal character. One of your main characters has been there from the beginning, and it was just
from the beginning. He's had
shot with an arrow, move on.
He's played like a pretty pivotal role in the lives of a lot of the cast.
To me, that's something that you leave for the end of an episode.
Yeah.
Like, I think that should have happened in I can't remember the episode previous to that, but I think that probably should have been the end of the previous episode.
And if this is some of the stuff, like some of the stuff in this, was the way that like George wrote it, I don't know. Maybe they should have just changed it, because it's just the drama like isn't there. And again, drama can be fun. Like, when I'm talking about like fun, I'm not just saying like whoopee, like we're all having a great time. The drama in Game of Thrones, the betrayals, like that stuff's fun. It's interesting to watch. And when Kristen Cole dies, there's no one there that ultimately impacts in any sort of meaningful way.
Yep.
And you can also make that dramatic if you're trying to go for this idea of him having alienated so many people that he's basically dying alone now, which might have been what they were going for. It didn't hit, though. You know, it felt stupid ultimately the way that they did it, because I'm not even sure I'm convinced he would have done like where it's like basically they get surrounded and then they're dead, and it's a couple of them, and you're like, what? Like, listen, he was not a good dude, but like I thought he was smarter than that. I mean, this guy trained like a lot of the cast who are very good like fighters now. Like, he was not an idiot.
Right.
And
I get them not engaging him in hand-to-hand combat, right?
Sure.
Because he's supposed to be one of the best, fighters. But it's more so just there's no one there around him for the impact, which again, I'm fine if the whole point is to not give him the glory he wants, for him to have an ending that he didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
Fine with that. But again, it's more so the timing and the setup. It's save it for the end.
Yeah, and you got to
have it be more meaningful. There's got to be
impactful. There's got to be some drama in it that adds to that impact, and there just like wasn't. It feels almost brushed over.
Yep.
You know, especially you're right.
Oh, this isn't important. Let's get on with it.
Especially because of where it was in the episode. Yeah, it didn't hit. And I think that's the biggest problem I've had with probably everyone's death this season. Is it's like, oh, okay, but I think that's part of the reason that like Aegon stuff has worked so well, because the drama is there. He's making meaningful decisions. He's making decisions that like, and because again,
his actions have consequences, and this is what I mean, reasonable consequences,
yep,
right?
yep,
It's not just well, his actions have consequences, but they don't make any sense or they're just thrown out. He It's a logical series of events that lead Aegon to where he's at.
yeah. And like, what a great moment of like Sunfire still being alive, and like
Yep.
having sort of this pathetic, but also for him in his situation, this like moment of like glory, and then it getting back to Rhaenyra and her like freaking out, which I you know, and I feel I can't remember the actor's name that plays Rhaenyra.
Oh, I can't. What's her? Emma D'Arcy.
Emma D'Arcy seems like Emma is attempting to put a lot into this, and I don't think it's really her fault, because
No.
in past seasons, acting's been very good. There's something about this season, and I think it's just a mix of all these things we've been talking about that isn't working for me.
Yep.
Because Matt Smith, great acting, keeps his character going despite the major issues early on, and then even now it's just like I don't really know. It's like, what's he doing? Like his whole the sheep stealer stuff took up like half of the season, and then he lets sheep stealer go, which I'm like, okay, like I guess that kind of makes sense. I don't know if we talked about it, but like the assumption being is that like he sees like a certain amount of reverence in these dragons, and there's probably something in him that almost on like a religious level, like killing one of those things probably goes against that, like whatever his like moral. And that's the stuff that I'm like, okay, thank you for doing things like that, because I feel like I've lost track of like Daemon as a character a little bit this season, but that felt in line with who he is. And we'll see like how that plays out in the last season. I kind of hope Sheep Stealer's just gone and we don't ever have to like deal with those again. And I hope a lot of the characters from I don't know, because I don't think they die, but like it's probably time to trim the cast for the last season. Kind of have everyone say
They're going to be
goodbyes.
introducing new characters now, from what I hear.
Dude, there's one season left. What? We have maybe 8 episodes left. Like, guys,
I know, man.
Just finish the story. It's like I think this is a good. This show is a good argument to kind of look back on with something like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, when you're talking about adapting something for TV or film.
Right.
Sometimes you just have to cut characters.
Yep.
Sometimes you just have to do it. You may not like it. It may not be the most like source accurate thing ever. Sometimes you have to do it because of pacing. And that's just what it comes down to. And I think the show is struggling because of that. Maybe Daemon's daughters just didn't have to be that important this season.
Yeah, it's just that simple, man.
It's okay to do that. Helena, maybe it's okay that she was like in the season less, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I don't know. But of course, like Otto, it was so obvious they didn't know what to do with him, and they just killed him. And it's like, all right, guys.
Yeah.
It's like it's okay
for some reason.
And this show's struggling because it wants that Game of Thrones format, but some of the characters, a lot of the characters they're hopping to, not nearly as interesting or as important as characters in the early seasons of Game of Thrones.
Right.
It doesn't feel like it's as necessary to do it, especially now that they have to be getting into some of this ending. Compared to Night of the Seven Kingdoms, this is easily worse. Like,
Yeah.
it's like not even close, dude.
Yes.
The
I mean, Night of Kingdom's a lot better.
the thing that I think most people criticize the most, or the thing that people criticize the most in Night of Seven Kingdoms, being that like flashback during, the big fight, like before the big fight, or in the, technically before the big fight, is pointless compared to some of the worst stuff going on in this season. Like out the gate in this season.
Right.
With like the big battle, and like that battle was probably bad. I don't think it's like controversial to just be like, hey, it was pretty bad. Didn't make a whole lot
gullet?
of sense. Yeah. Not the last one. The last one I was like, okay, cool. There's siege in the castle. Like this, like everything about this. I mean, there's probably some stuff to criticize.
I wouldn't say that the gullet was necessarily bad. Like it was all right for me at least, but it was overhyped and underdelivered.
Yeah.
And that's where I can completely understand why you would say it was bad.
It's kind of bad.
I completely get it.
It's kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
A lot of the strategy doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and the whole thing is, we've talked about this before. It's like maybe some of these characters were supposed to be dumber than they were presented, and so when they have to do dumb things, it seems off because it's like that sort of seems out of character.
Right.
You know? And maybe some of that's setup problems. Then you have like weird stuff with like these pirates being able to slice through these guys' armor. It just didn't look good, you know? It didn't feel smart most of the time. I think Corlys is the only character that actually makes like a relatively smart decision in that fight. It just, I don't know, it was really weird. Really weird. Not a big fan, you know? It really comes down to it. All right. You got anything else you want to say? I
think that's it,
done.
man.
This does not make me super hopeful for season 4.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
I mean, dude, that last episode, I think I waited like a week to watch it. Because we weren't going to record anyway. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff that kind of came up, and I was like, well, I'll just get around to it, you know? And it's not good that this show has turned into something that I'm like, I'll get around to it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I won't talk much about it this week, but like Reacher season 4 has kind of been feeling the same way.
Ooh, that sucks.
Like it's just kind of, I mean, the show was always sort of, you know, it's not like deep by any stretch of the imagination. Like it's not like the incredible character writing I've ever seen, but it's always been kind of fun. Something weird about this season. I can't quite put my finger on it yet. And I don't know if it's starting to feel kind of samey, and that's the problem. Or if I'm just not as invested in this story. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but the whole season's not out yet, so we'll see. It might pick up. Just not quite there for me yet. You know, but it's fine. It's still better than a lot of stuff that I've seen on television lately. Television's in a weird spot. It's crazy. Right. I think we went through a quote unquote like golden age, like when Game of Thrones was on. A lot of interesting stuff coming out, regardless of like ultimately like the quality of it. I feel like people were still kind of like trying back then, and like nowadays, right. It feels like even the stuff that people are praising, it's either like uncertain or it's not as good, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, man. Looking forward to next week. Talking about some catch up, some movies we've seen.
Yeah.
And that'll be, you know, I think I'm probably gonna spend a little time this week or the rest of this week, like catching up on a few other things that I haven't seen yet. just stuff that I've found to be interesting, and I'm sure we'll have some like actually, I already know we'll have a little bit of crossover. But yeah, we'll get into it,
will.
and then maybe like hopefully after that you'll have been able to see Spider-Man and the Odyssey one way or the other, and we'll get a little bit of extra time to talk about that because I'm curious to see how you feel about both of them. I just kind of disappointing, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's so funny too, dude. I used to watch Red Letter Media a lot. I still like some of their stuff, but I like clicked on their Spider-Man video or whatever because I was like, oh, let's see what they think about this. Literally, like, they're like, oh, well, at least the new one looks like a movie, and I was like, what? I was like, what does that even mean? And it was like they just kind of liked the lighting, and then they were picking out very specific moments from the old movies where they'd like green screened in characters, and I'm like, sure, that's stuff to criticize, but off the bat, I'm already kind of like, ugh, like, did y'all think this was good? Like, if you're sitting here like, and this is the problem that I have with a lot of like the way that modern criticism works, and a lot of the way that like people who are into like camera and like filmmaking stuff, and I get it, but a lot of them are so hyper focused on the cameras and the lenses and not so much like the story, and like it's the thing that drives me crazy because I'm
just
like,
technical side.
Yeah, I was like, can we please get back to the stories? Can we please get back to that? Can we get back, like because I would tell you some of like my favorite movies, not all of them. I wouldn't say that they have like the best cinematography that I've ever seen. You know, some of them, sure. I think some of them are incredible. I also am not a huge fan of like current lighting techniques. We've talked about this before, where everybody thinks lighting has to look hyper realistic in everything.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, I would just
we're
like
in a hyper realistic age.
It sucks, dude. I'm so sick of it. There's a lot of stuff in sort of like modern cinematography that I'm just tired of, and one of the things is definitely the obsession with just this like very hyper realistic lighting. It's fine in some things. I like it in Obsession. 1917, it makes sense for what they were trying to do. But I don't really want to watch a bunch of people in like poorly lit rooms talk to each other. It's like, what's going on? It's distracting to me. You know what I mean? Like if they had tried to do like hyper realistic stuff for like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I think it would be a little more annoying. I want to see I understand that it's nighttime and they have a fire. I would like to be able to see what they're doing, you know?
Yeah. Where people get so focused on it having to be hyper realistic that it's like, guys, there's music playing over this. Where's that music coming from?
Yeah. Same place the light's coming from, you know?
Yeah. It's like, just light up the scene, guys.
Yeah, please. And then there's a way to do it, and because like I would say, this would be my argument, is like Lord of the Rings does it right.
Yep.
I know it's nighttime. I'm okay with the fact that it's not like 1-to-1, you know? Everybody wants it to be like it's like almost like tismy the way that people, you know, oh, you put this light here, and I understand why they do it. I actually think a lot of it's very artistic. I think for me, and this was something I was talking with some people about today, everything, and it goes back to what we were talking about, where like I can tell everything's on a set. Everyone's so obsessed with like the technical details and having these like 8K cameras, and it's like I don't want to see the actors' pores on their forehead. It's not just your camera, because I think clean images are good. Like if you go back and watch like old trailers and stuff and how muddy they look compared to now, I'm okay with that. But there's a lot that you can do with lenses, picking certain cameras that maybe are a little bit older, that maybe have a little bit of character to them. It's the same thing with lenses. Mm-hmm. Like they have a little bit of character to them. And then doing very specific things with like your color grade afterwards, and the way that you light a scene, the way that you do the audio for scene. Like just this care and attention to detail that I don't think we get from a lot of things anymore. And then obviously, please make your script at minimum serviceable. Just like,
Yep.
I don't, it doesn't need to be, and that's why I think we've talked about before. It's like sometimes I think going back to some things that are just slightly more simplistic, it doesn't have to be everything like that, but like, let's start with simple, you know? Get me from like A to B without me questioning 6 of the things that happened in between, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna keep things going with like a trilogy or whatever, like at least have someone on set who part of their job is to be like, that breaks with this from what's already been done. You know, people do that. Something I think is really interesting, and I haven't been keeping up with it a lot. Eric July, for his comic book company, literally hired people that he's like, you are in charge of making sure that like the continuity of this stuff makes sense and that we're not like shooting ourselves in the foot by going against something that we established earlier on, you know, which I think is really smart. Like have someone be like your lore master, have someone be the person, especially with like Marvel needed to do that a long time ago with the movies and television and stuff. I saw it. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but that was the last thing. I literally saw, I don't know if IGN posted it. Somebody posted, they were like, the 15 movies and shows you need to watch before Doomsday. I was like, what?
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. It's okay. I don't think I want to do that, especially with the television, you know? Bro, it's ridiculous.
That's too funny.
All right, buddy. Well, let's end the show. You got anything else you want to add before we go?
Nah, man, that is it.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of The Underground. We'll be back next week with a little bit of movie catch-up, a little more discussion about stuff that we haven't had a whole lot of time to talk about. But until then, y'all take it easy.